Hello and welcome to Balanced Existence. I am here with a twin flame reading. Of course, you don't have to identify or be a twin flame, but if you feel like you've had a turbulent emotional relationship history, this is very much commonly the experience of the twin flame collective, but really all of my readings are for the twin flame and or spiritual collective. So if you're here and you clicked, I feel there's a message for you. I like to keep the readings positive, of course, but I am picking up on this energy of disappointment or feeling anxious or feeling unfulfilled. And I'm coming on because I'm here to provide an energetic pivot, like with a snap, turning the light on, or whatever metaphor you want to use, for doing a 180 so that we're not allowing ourselves to spiral into failed expectations from our external reality. Now, I want to be careful not to bypass negative emotions that you may be feeling. I encourage you to feel it, but emphasis on feel, because a lot of the times when we are spiraling, it's a mental storytelling kind of spiral. It's our ego repeating stories that our wounds created. So the first card I'm pulling is Change, and the second card is Coherence. And this is a very important message. Basically, if you want to experience change, and this isn't about controlling your external reality or relationships or people in your life, this is about from an inside out direction or mechanism, we are changing our reality. And I say inside out a lot on this channel because I always want to encourage inner work as the top priority and focus for the collective that is seeking spiritual growth and transformation and guidance as they navigate through these spiritual awakenings that they're experiencing. So when you are in a position of feeling disappointed or frustrated or angry or sad or rejected or anxious or fearful, whatever it is, this is a negative emotion that we will inevitably experience in our human existence, but we don't want to stay there. We want to spend as much of our lives as we can in those more higher frequencies or positive emotions. And this isn't about just having a life that leads us to those positive emotions or having experiences that make us feel those positive emotions. This is about us having the mastery of self to alchemize the negative emotions that, again, are inevitable and bound to show up in our lives and in our bodily experience of life, and to alchemize them into positive, higher frequencies. And so that's what we're talking about when we say inside out. This is the inner emotional alchemy that we are seeking to become a master of. And so if you're in this mental spiral, the first step is to bring it back into your body. Instead of replaying the story or thinking with your mind and your ego through the emotion. So with the Coherence card, this is coming through because as you bring it back to your body, as you get back into that nervous system regulation, and you maybe practice some self-care, you get your mind off of the spiral and the negative emotions, and you bring it back into your body, you allow yourself to calm, and the coherence is here because this is the pivot. This is the light switch, the 180, where we tap back into what brings us to feeling that frequency of coherence. Coherence is what allows us to harmonize the frequency of our heart, which I've said in previous readings that the heart is that 4D bridge between the 5D, the spiritual realm, which our soul is connected to, and the 3D, which is the body. And of course, the body links to the mind, and we are in these human bodies. We have an ego. We will always have an ego. We just don't want it to run the show. And so when we're talking about coherence, we're talking about that balance in our bodies between the heart and the mind. So if you're overactive in your mind, what we need to do is bring it back to our body, calm the body, and then focus in on the heart, because the heart is the translator and the intuitive source of information, but it's the translator of our soul's truth. So coherence is the concept of balancing those energies within us. And when we do that, we then have the power to create the reality that we desire. So for example, if you are disappointed that your romantic interest, your twin flame, maybe this is something happening in present day if you are in union with your twin flame, or maybe this is you remembering a past experience or incident that caused you a lot of pain or hurt or rejection or disappointment. Whatever it is, you are bringing that disappointment into the present moment, whether it's actually happening in the present moment, or even it may not be happening in the present moment, but something may be happening in the present moment to trigger you back to the past stories. Or maybe you really simply are totally fine and in separation in the present moment, but you're being pulled back to old past memories. Whatever this is, you are, I almost wanted to say plaguing, like your current present moment reality is being plagued with, or like poisoned with, these negative emotions of egoic stories from past experiences. And again, this is a normal part of the human experience. Our ego will act up now and then. It's like a dog that barks. Dogs will bark. We're never going to live in a reality where dogs don't bark, or where the ego doesn't do its thing, right? But this is all about us getting back into our highest timeline, our highest power, our energy and frequency of coherence, right? So remembering that the present moment is the portal to the reality that we choose, it's critical for us to first calm our body and regulate our nervous system and quiet the mental chatter. And this can take hours, days, and all you can really do, and your highest self, your soul deeply knows this and is committed to this. All you can do is continue to practice and show up in the best way that you can, and with grace, without any shame or guilt or feeling like you're not good enough or doing it well enough. So there requires an element of surrender to how long this is going to take you, without those egoic judgments of, oh, I'm not good at this, or, oh, I thought I was more healed and now I feel like I've taken 10 steps back. Forget all of that, right? Like, and again, your ego may trap you and take you there. And as long as you have the self-awareness as best as you can and as often as you can to bring yourself back to your truth and back to your body and back to the present moment, then you're on track. And so once you've kind of reached that settled point within your body, the pivot comes from tapping into and remembering what coherence feels like for you. Now, sometimes like listening to an affirmation when you're already feeling really upset can feel like there's a lack of resonance, a lack of coherence. It feels like it doesn't align with where you're currently at in your body or in your mind. And so we want to approach this in a way that's going to resonate and feel natural and feel like it's a gentle way to bring you back into coherence. So, for example, instead of listening to affirmations about how your relationship is perfect and it's great, which may feel like a large leap, the first step may be to just simply remember what it feels like to feel joy. Maybe the thought of cuddling your pets, or the thought of taking a trip. And this could be any kind of visualization. It could be a past memory that you've actually experienced, a memory of your pets, a memory of travel that was really fulfilling for you, a memory with friends, anything that won't lead you down any mental judgments or spirals or trigger you into memories of unfulfillment. If we can just focus on the things that do bring us joy. And this is not as simple as just writing out a list of things we're grateful for. This is a embodied feeling so that we can tap into what joy feels like. And again, this may take hours. You may need to practice this multiple times a day, but this is the work that has to be done when you are spiraling into disappointment. Because when you're spiraling into disappointment, you are focused on the external reality, and you're focused on the gap. I just saw 11:11 on the timer. So this is an important message here. You're focused, when you're in disappointment, you're focused on the gap between the 3D and the 5D, right? The 5D being your spiritual realm, your highest timeline, and the 3D being your current reality, where you may be locked into that lack mindset and we're trying to pivot and get our way out of that, right? So you may be focused on that gap. You may even be focused on the 3D, which is even worse. But again, this is a normal part of the human experience. So we're bound to find ourselves trapped in these spirals now and again. But the message here is that when you're focused on the gap, what we need to do instead is change our focus and slowly and gently ease our way into feeling joy more and more. So this may take hours, but for you to be able to sit and say, okay, this may feel impossible right now because I feel so anxious, I feel so disappointed, I feel so down about life, but I know that I have the ability to pivot this. Because you do. You know that you have this ability. It's just going to take some work, and it's going to take your commitment to coming back to this when you need to. It's an ongoing maintenance. You don't just learn to alchemize from negative to positive emotions once in your life. You don't just learn to be happy or learn to tap into joy once in your life. This is a constant maintenance that you do have the tools and resources and skills and abilities to do this work and to sustain and come back to this practice throughout your entire life. You can do this. So as you're slowly, gently easing your way into feeling more joy, you start to spiral upward. And maybe you have a handful of memories that you can tap into. And even if you have subconscious stories in the background that are still repeating on autopilot about what you're disappointed about, don't worry about them, right? Just focus on what it is that's bringing you joy. And sooner or later, those emotions of joy will propagate, and it's like watering the flowers in your garden. If you go back to thinking about what's disappointing you, you're watering the weeds. But if you keep remembering how much you love your pets or your children or your friends or the experiences that you've had in life, you are watering the flowers, and your garden is going to grow, and all of that positivity will continue to spiral. Again, maybe you still have a lot of weeds throughout your garden, and that's fine, but the flowers will continue to grow and the weeds will die because you've stopped watering them. So this is a message that is coming through today. I hope that this is helping you to pivot and just to remind you that you have the power to pivot. You are not a victim of your external circumstances or situations. Life is not happening to you. Maybe certain experiences are being moved through you, but you are always the sovereign being who has the power of choice, the power of pivot, and the power of coming back home to yourself, tapping back into your soul's truth, and connecting with that feeling of coherence within. And this is the powerful alchemy, the powerful transformational work that we do to bring our energy that is so caught up and focused on the mind and the egoic energies to reset, calm it down, and bring it back to the body, then to bring it to the heart, then to bring it to the soul, which is that connection to the spiritual realm, which is exactly where our highest timeline exists, where our dream life is in reach, as long as we are shifting our attention towards it. And there's one more thing I want to say about this beautiful, brilliant ability to move and flow with our energies and really achieve that balance of the heart and mind, achieve that balance with the mind, body, spirit. And when we talk about shifting from being stuck in the 3D or stuck in the gap between the 3D and 5D and moving it into that positive embodied 5D energy, an analogy that came to me recently is it's like being a singer on a stage, and you performing your act of singing is your beautiful contribution. It's your creative flow. It's your 5D highest timeline. Now, if the microphone isn't working, which is the example of the 3D not meeting your expectations, the 3D reality being a source of disappointment, whatever this may be, the message here is to continue to sing as if the microphone was working, right? Like, this is the energy we're trying to embody here. I'm hearing sing your heart out. Eventually the microphone will start working and everything will be just fine. And especially if there's an audience, you can think of the audience as the world around you or the relationships around you. When you show up authentically as yourself, even when things don't seem to be going your way and you continue to sing your heart out, people see that. And it's not just about people or, like in a way where we're seeking validation or recognition from others. What I mean here is that the world responds to that energy. When you continue to sing, you are magnetic, you are magnetizing all of the abundance that exists in the 5D to you. And so if you can think about the audience being the way that the world responds to you, you can see so clearly that it doesn't really matter if the microphone's working or not, because people will see you on stage with your confidence, with your bright light, with your free spirit, and people will hear you, people will see you, and your 5D will click into place. So why would you want to waste your energy thinking about how the microphone isn't working, thinking about, how the microphone's going to start working again, right? And again, these are normal parts of the human experience to get stuck in these egoic traps and disappointments. But I really hope that this reading can help shed some light on how we can pivot and how powerful of a being you are. And again, regardless of your egoic judgments of how skilled you think you are, you can always tap into and remember your soul's truth, which is that you are such a capable being that is doing the most magical alchemy in your lifetime. And it's something to feel like the journey in and of itself is something to feel joyful about. So even that could be something that you visualize. And I really want you to see this as a treat, like your time that you take to daydream when you do this visualization. Think of it as like free time to just daydream about your dream life, your dream way of showing up and existing and being, and what that would feel like. I hope that this comes through to you as that special one-on-one time with yourself, like a self-care ritual. So I'm going to leave the reading here. I hope that this helped or resonated with you. And as always, I would love to hear from you in the comments. It's my absolute favorite thing to see the comments and just see the collective coming together. And if there's any readings or pieces of guidance that you would like to hear more about on this channel, I would love for you to share. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.